In the heart of a historic district stood a mansion so grand it had become a museum. It was open to the public for tours, but there was one room that was off limits, entirely made of glass. They didn't want people to see what was inside, or maybe they didn't want people to see themselves in the reflections. Because what the glass panels reflected wasn't the present, it was moments from the house's violent past. Screams, fights, even gunshots. That's why the room was locked up tight every night. One evening, the night guard was making his rounds when he heard muffled screams coming from inside the locked glass room. Startled, he cautiously approached the glass and peered through. What he saw made the blood freeze in his veins. There, illuminated by the faint light of the moon, was a figure pacing frantically inside the glass room, back and forth, and as it turned to face the guard, he saw a horrifying sight. It was him. Well, it was his clothes. The same clothes he was wearing. He tried to scream, to warn the others, but no sound came out. He was frozen in terror as the figure in his clothes continued to pace. Then, as if sensing his presence, the figure stopped and turned. Its face was obscured by the shadows, but the guard could have sworn he saw a ghastly white smile appear. Then it began to pound on the glass, its finger leaving a small trail of blood. It pounded again and again, as if trying to break free. The guard stumbled back, his mind racing. Was this some kind of sick joke? Had someone broken into the room and locked it from the inside? But then he remembered the room was only accessible by a keycard. And besides, he was the last employee to leave. He looked down at his own clothes, then back at the figure. It was him, but how? Suddenly, the lights flickered on inside the room, revealing the horrifying truth. It wasn't a figure at all. It was a mannequin dressed in his clothes, swaying slightly in the breeze from the air conditioning. Relief washed over him, but it was short-lived. As he watched in disbelief, the mannequin began to move. It took a step toward the glass, then another, and as it approached, he could see the grotesque grin on its face. The same grin that had appeared in the reflection. And as it reached out a hand toward the glass, he screamed and ran. He didn't dare look back. He didn't want to see what would happen next. But the screams echoed in his ears long after he'd run from the house. No one believed him when he told them what he'd seen. They said it was just an old building settling, but he knew the truth. And as the nights went by, the screams in his nightmares grew louder.